Okay, guys, it is time again for another LR tier list for the top 10 LRs, in my personal opinion, ranked in Dokkan Battle. Now, I understand that it's been quite some time since I think I've done a personal tier list like this, because I don't think I updated this with Omega Shenron had like when he released back in what, July or so. So the thing about that is, we've had a couple of stages come out. Omega Shenron stage himself. We had the two new Red Zone stages so far in the Dismal Future Red Zone, which are both very tough. The Tech First Form Cell and the Rose stage, both of these fights are very difficult and much shorter content. So I think that kind of affects some things in terms of potential units being ranked. Now that we have like a couple of new events like that, we have some new leaders, some new partners for units, ETA, stuff like that, right? That I feel like may potentially shake things up. And my list has changed, obviously, because we have two new LRs here, the LR Vegito Blue and Fusion Zamasu, which is the big reason for the update here. And yeah, we'll just hop into it. I think we're going to go to obviously top 10, or at least number 10 is what I'm trying to say here. 3 AM, by the way. But Kaigoku, which is probably very surprising. You may think Kaigoku at 10? No way. But I mean, when you look at the other units that will be on the list, yeah, he is actually number 10, at least for me. So, I mean, like the thing about this is that he's not even, obviously not, he's not bad at all. Like being top 10 in LR is like very, very good. And I'm sure if you guys have followed me on Twitter for like, let's say the span of the 8th anniversary on JP all the way to like, even right now, I'm a huge fan of this guy, right? The 6 turns of guard, the 59% heal he has, the, multiplicative 59% defense he gets on the 5th attack. He has the counter ability, stacking defense. Even the active skill is really good. Snap this guy with, some dodge in his kit and additionals, and he's able to really cook. Even in shorter content like Tech Cell, this guy is still really good in there. And, against Tech Cell specifically, he has the high chance to nullify and counter the Ki Blast super attack, which, is a common super attack you can see. Like the two latest bosses, the Rose stage and then the Cell stage, both have these phase where they do a Ki Blast super attack. So that's pretty cool for the Sky Goku specifically. The issue with him, maybe his link set no prepared for battle, but he's very key consistent as well. I think that's one thing about him. He's very, very, very strong with key. 4 key intro, 4 key just normally, another 5 key there. So he has what, 13 key from his passive? No. Yeah, that's 13 key from his passive, right? If I do the math right. So again, that's pretty nice. And again, he's in a lot of strong teams, Power Wishes, Earthbred Fighters, Bought a Paradigm Child, Final Trump card, right? Even like Goku Family and Pure Saiyans in the future when they get better leaders. I mean, wait, who are these Pure Saiyans right now? Just Raditz right here at Turles too, but this guy's not bad at all, but it's more so like, I feel like units around him pushed like him down, and that's just really it. He's good, but he's just not like, top 5 unit at the game level anymore or anything like that. Now, obviously, you saw my mouse hovering over these two. I'll talk about them at the same time. The Blue Fusions, and I will say again, if you see my previous video back in July, you would have known that I put Kaigoku above these guys previously. And I think there are, again, some differences, and this is kind of the point I was talking about earlier with some differences. More like we got Omega as a fight, and he's a longer fight for sure. And, with how the teams were at the time, there weren't really any like fusion, like at least many fusion partners for these guys. It's basically AGO, Gogeta, Blue. And whilst these guys are still obviously extremely powerful, and right now they're just extremely strong, especially now I feel like that 4-turn dodge just feels as more powerful as ever with the Cell fight and the Rose Goku Black fight, right? That guaranteed dodge turn is just so good. And even in just like let's say Cooler Core, let's say Cell Max boss events, right? The Sin Shannon event still works very, very good there, right? Even in the Omega fight, it still works very good. That guaranteed dodge in turn 4 is such a powerful ability to have, and it helps these guys quite a lot in terms of overall what they could do. And you could even potentially just like wait it out and get it on turn 5 potentially if you want to wait a little later into the fight, like maybe against Sin or Mega, right? But I'm a big fan of how these guys is easy A's return now. I mean, I'm on Vegito, but Gogeta's as well. Oh, I got spoiled the next unit, but it's fine. We'll talk about him in a bit anyways. Another thing, again, with partners, we got the new LRAGO Vegito Blue. And, you know, we'll talk about him later. Of course, he is higher on this list. I know a lot of people think that even this tech Vegito Blue is better than him, but... well, we'll talk about it, but I would say that, you know, the Age of Vegito Blue, right? He gives the defense buff on his super attack effects. Really, really good. And what happens is, you know, even like if you run out of guard on turn 5, you could potentially run this unit in like slot 1 and protect them. The Age of LR Vegito Blue specifically, like the guaranteed guard is able to help a lot of these other units, which is just so powerful. Or not the guaranteed guard, the guaranteed dodge chance, right? It's so strong, especially like if you're not comfortable in slot 1 with certain units, right? Just easy guaranteed dodge, just super good. Their base forms definitely are pretty weak, like they're fine, but you really just want to float them off and transform with them, which is not a big deal. Like it's a fine design. I think I do like the design personally. Like it's interesting, a unit want to float off, they'll come back, and then now they're on rotation, and they'll be able to cook for you really good. Active skills hit really hard, right? A lot of teams, pretty nice link set. I like them. I like them here. But yeah, we'll talk about these guys next. 8th anniversary Super Saiyan 2 Goku and Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta at the number 7 spot. So, I mean, if we're talking about me above, having them above the Blue Fusions, I just like them better as a unit, really. I think that they're stronger early on in the fight, just in my personal opinion. The damage that they do is just so obscene right on top of that, and then they're able to get some pretty solid defensive stats as well. Now, no dodge, right? Like Blue Fusions could potentially dodge like a slot 3 super attack, but I feel like these guys are more flexible, right? You know, because you have to basically, you're forced to float the Blue Fusions off. Well, these guys are like, okay, you can kind of play around with them a little more. I feel like, you know, this guy is very good with Ki. Obviously, they're an actual leader. Like having an actual leader goes like pretty good too, I would say. Power Wish is probably the best team in the game. They're one of the leader for the Power Wishes category team. Very good link set. I do like their link set better than, like, let's say if we're saying the Blue Fusions too, I would say their link set is probably better. Good amount of teams. And then this form right here, the standby, where you charge the Spirit Bomb, I just think is very stupid. Being basically invincible in slot 1, and then like 2 turns later, like when they come back with them, you just drop a nuke that can one-shot the enemy. Characters don't replicate that, right? Characters usually just can't replicate what the Spirit Bomb turn is doing. Now, you definitely need some setup, and I feel like early on, definitely the, you know, Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta part of the card, they can be weak defensively, especially against, more so against super attacks. Normals are fine, but if they get tagged with a super, they're pretty often dead. But besides that, there's not really an issue with them in my personal opinion. And I just think the overall power of the Spirit Bomb and the value of this Vegeta portion of the card is what makes me like this unit over the 7th anniversary. I keep saying the 7th anniversary, but the 5th anniversary LR's Easy A's. But if you want to say like this, I'm okay with that, right? But I personally like the Dragon Ball Z Duo above them. I wouldn't do anything like this, by the way, though. Like I want to split up the 8th anniversary. Keep saying like 8th anniversary Goku and Vegeta, and then the 5th anniversary of Vegito and Gogeta. I don't want to like put him in between them or like split up the 5th anniversary of Lars at all. I personally think that doesn't really make sense. But all right, next we go to number 6 and Super Saiyan 4 Goku. I would say he's at number 6 here. And I mean, just to talk about him, I like him a lot. I think that the Super Saiyan 4 Goku is good. Low key though, I would say like it's this Super Saiyan 4 Goku specifically here. He's obviously very strong. I think people are slightly overrating like his tanking abilities here, and slightly overrating even his damage potentially, right? I think Oob, really good. A really huge fan of Oob. Just extremely obscenely powerful. Then we have Super Saiyan 4 Full Power Goku, and this guy is just stupid. You could probably even still argue super full power Saiyan 4 Goku basically by himself. Like him specifically, like best unit in the game. Like in terms of kit design. And I wouldn't really disagree with you. I think full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku, full heal, he's guarding, turn 1 50% damage reduction, and then he's shooting out like 20 mil, 24 mil attacks that are guaranteed crits as well. And then he's like, well, he can't die. He's doing 24 mil guaranteed crits. And it's like, what do you do? Like, what does the enemy do to kill this guy or stop this guy? It's very difficult. And then look at the teams he's on. He's on so many different teams, but it's just stupid crazy. Now, if we're gonna talk about the faults for this guy, I think I don't like this condition. 5 more attacks. I feel like consistently I get that either on turn 5 or even turn 7. It depends on the boss you're facing. Like, if you're facing Cell, you're not getting this. If you're facing Rose Goku Black, you're not getting this. You know, but if you're facing, like, Metacooler Core, or you're facing, you know, the Omega Shenron fight, it's, you know, very often you're able to get Super Saiyan 4 Full Power Goku out pretty consistently. Even, like, a Metacooler Core, though, it's hard, because you have to switch from this guy into Oob, and then you have to switch into this guy after. The only fight I feel like you consistently get the Super Saiyan 4 Full Power Goku out is the Omega Shenron fight. Any other fight, I don't really think that it's consistent getting this guy out at all. So we need a new longer event to get that, right? And while Manjub is very good with this 70% support for 2 turns, I mean, the real power for this unit is in the full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku. This is the real strength for this unit right here. And well, again, I would say this guy, for a while, I thought this guy's like overall presence was underrated, but I've seen this unit as a whole be a little overrated because of how powerful this guy is. And, you know, I think people kind of think that what this guy is doing is a little better than he is, and especially defensively in slot 1. So I would say this, I don't know, I would have him at 6 here, which is obviously still really good. But I'm sure you guys know before I had him at 4. So, I mean, it's pretty obvious, but we'll still go. So, next, at my number 5 list, and this is where I probably had the most difficulty, and I'm gonna forefront this by saying I'm very sure this is going to change by the end of the month, but right now I will have it like this, and that's Zamasu next. And I'm sure many people are like, Vegito over Zamasu, and people are freaking out. And again, let me explain before you guys get your pitchforks and everything like that. Zamasu designed as a unit, I like his design better than what we have for the Vegito unit, and I'm already talking about him, so we'll just put Vegito here at 4. The 2 new units for the worldwide celebration. People wanted them to be 1 and 2, and I think that's fair to expect that, but top 5 is still very powerful. I just think that it's very hard to break into what the top 3 units of the game are doing. I almost had, well, we'll talk about that a bit. Zamasu is basically just LR Golden Frieza, but better in so many different ways, right? He has the 80% reduction turn 1 to 60% turn 3 to 40%, and then he stays at 40% for the rest of the fight. Very absurd. If you guys weren't aware, this defense here he gets when receiving an attack, that activates again literally when he receives the attack. It's not like Tech Carnival Goku where he takes the first hit, then after for the rest of the turn he keeps the defense buff. No, if you get super slot 1, this 50% multiplicative defense, or potentially the 100% if you're under 70% HP, that is activated before the super actually hits you. So you get his full passive up at all time defensively, which is really, really good, right? He's very key consistent. 6 key start of turn, and then 3 key against no Realm of Gods enemies. That's a very easy to get, because what's the only, like, Rose Goku Black is the only Realm of Gods enemy like that, and then he also gets extra stats. This is very good. 50% chance to create to Spaceland, I think, is a very also strong ability. fine building this up, but this is how many attacks. I think that's 6 attacks, right? You know, getting at least like most of this by the time you reach the final fight with this guy as a slot 1 unit. Not too bad. Again, it depends on the event, but I find it very easy to get that. This additional is very strong too. So this guy's building additionals and crits. It's just stupid. Then we have the active skill, which is the Infinite Zamasu, where he supports extreme class allies by 3 ki. It's very stupid. Then he also does go ahead and have a ability. It's not listed here, but he could make superclass enemies take more damage and superclass allies as well, right? Not something we could really see right now, which is one reason why I actually have him under Vegito's, because that ability where he affects the whole rotation like that really is not an ability that's there right now. And I feel like many of the best units in the game, again, Super Saiyan 4 Goku with Oob, you know, we could talk about GT Duo, Orange Piccolo, Bulma. They all have abilities that affect really the whole rotation or even like the next rotation. Well, Zamasu doesn't actually really have that right now until we get the new, like, hopefully like a super class boss, and that ability could be activated. It's very, very good. This guy does, I guess, he does support the entire rotation with 60% defense, but specifically worldwide chaos category allies. You do need the 4 key spheres, but that's not really too difficult to get because he's a double orb changer. But he's invincible, which is absolutely absurd. Like, he's actually like just invincible, as in you don't have to do anything. He just takes 0 damage from every single attack, every single super attack for 5 turns, which is also just very, very good. Just extraordinarily good for these bosses that are doing just 1.8 mil, 2 million ish damage at this point. And this Masu's like, yeah, too bad, right? Too bad, so sad. The condition may be a little strict, turn 5 under 70% HP, but I think the thing is that you get it when you need it. I don't think this restriction is bad. I think it's a fine restriction for Zamasu too, because he does, at least he keeps the 40% reduction right here. So the fact is that even if you can't transform, he still has 40% damage reduction. So that's a good thing there. I like his link set, but again, it's an issue where we need better villains, and that's the second thing going on here right now. Obviously we don't have Age of Zamasu's Easy A. We need TUR Goku Black's Easy A. We need, you know, and LR Rose's Easy A, Part 2 LR Super Saiyan Rose Goku Black or something like that. We need like a bunch of these characters to come in order for Zamasu to be good, because right now, like on his team, we're running like STR Rose, Eijo Goku Black. We're running Tech Goku Black and Zamasu, which is, you know, they're good, but they're not like anything extraordinary anymore, you know. And then like we said, beyond that, you know, I guess we can run Chilai. Sealess is a good option, but like we need more of these like really strong top tier options on the team. But I do like, I would say his leader skill is pretty good. Maybe Fused Fighters could have been changed for another category specifically, but I think the Fused Fighters is why Sealess is on the team, right? Yeah, Sealess is on the team because of Fused Fighters, and Sealess is, again, a time traveler support and everything like that, so at least that's fine. Giving Extreme Class this extra buff is pretty nice as well, because again, you can throw like Chilai on here, but we need more Extreme Class units for that to be powerful. Again, I think Zamasu has a better design than these guys, which we'll talk about them right now, but I feel like he's carrying the team very hard, but then if anyone else gets hit with the super, you're just instantly dead. Like, this guy has to be taking all the super attacks and everything like that. You like a rotation without this guy right now on his team, like if you get a rotation where he's not there, you badly, very badly feel the difference without this guy on his team, right? I mean, you could also run him on Junior, very good option, right, for the team too, but without this Fusions of Zamasu and like, so let's say my Junior on the rotation, it's just a very bad feeling, and your team is just very weak. Which is why I have Zamasu under him right now. But again, that could be very easily fixed, so hopefully, fingers crossed. This unit is very underrated. I don't care. This Goku and Vegeta specifically, they're underrated. I think that people are calling them bad. People say they suck. People say that they should be buffed. No, I want to preface, they're not going to buff this unit. This unit's fine. I mean, everyone loved Vegeta and Trunks last year. And this unit is just a better version of Vegeta and Trunks in slot 1. It's just as simple as that. I think a lot of people's issue with this unit is that they can't really, well, there's two issues. One, I think damage, right? People are looking at their damage, and I'm definitely going to say their damage isn't anything extraordinary, especially in slot 1. You can set them up to do good damage in slot 2 or 3, depending on this, setup. Like, think come up with like the LR Gods, have Bulma, you have Jirobi around. I've seen like a rainbow, like Blue Goku and Vegeta do like 8 to 10 mil attack stat into like a triple like 5 mil like that, and it's like, okay, well, they're doing like a 12 mil attack stat essentially, which is very good. But I think the biggest issue is the fact that this is not guaranteed, because with how this unit works, they get the guard for the first 4 turns, which is, I think, very good still. You need to have a Future Saga category ally, but that's not really difficult if you're running 2 of them because they activate by themselves. So for the first few turns, you have guard, and then in the first slot, you have a high chance to dodge. And then their defense with the 150% that gets activated before, they're attacking, that just shoots them up to, like, let's say a 500k defense range very consistently, 500k, 600k defensive range, right? And then it's like they're able to live any super attack in the game fairly easily with, 500, 600k defense with guard. And then on top of that, they're also having a 50% chance to dodge. If even further, you could even give them dodge as a build, which is what I did. And then they get to straight up, obviously, to take 0 damage from that super attack in general, which is very, very good. The issue is that after the 4th turn, you don't guard anymore, and you lose 100% defense. So the thing is, if you're above 70% HP, this unit will get shredded. Wow, right? And it's like, why? That's awesome. I can't fuse, so I literally die, which is very stupid. If there is going to be changes, I would make to this unit. Turn 5, just simple, turn 5 right there. And then, since a lot of people don't like that their damage is low, just make this, like, take away the Realm of Gods, or make this, like, when there's an extreme class enemy, instead of Realm of Gods category enemy. I feel like if it was, like, against an extreme class enemy, and then they always got that extra 50% attack and defense, and they're always super effective, their damage people would feel much better about, I think, overall. Like, they would shoot from like 6 mil, like probably like 6 mil to like 7 mil-ish range, but they'd also be super effective on top of that, able to do multiple super attacks, right? They do a guaranteed additional super at 20 key, right? Those are talking about fixes that would change them if you want to make them really, really good. They're still really good still. Again, like I said, it's not 1. They may not be the biggest damage dealer ever, but the ability to just like be basically invincible in slot 1, just a better Vegeta and Trunks, is very, very powerful. And I think this condition is a little overblown too, because again, with how hard these bosses hit, you're able to pretty easily transform into Vegito Blue, and then look at the leader skill, by the way, too. Battle Fate, Future Saga, Power Beyond, Super Saiyan. And then you could also just use any subclass units. You could just throw Bulma on the team. You got Jirobi on the team. Nijio Kai Goku, you could throw him on the team, right? Any unit that's just not under the leader skill, essentially, that's super class, you could just throw under the team if you wanted. Which makes, I think this is probably just the best leader skill unit in the game. Like, that's the best leader skill by far in the game. Which I think is a massive, massive thing that people aren't really talking about, is how disgusting their leader skill is, and then the fact that they're invincible in slot 1 for the first 4 turns, like, especially for like these shorter events like Cell, for example, Cell Max, for example, right? Where they finish within these 5 turns, you're able to very easily take advantage of that invincibility and then have a bunch of just really strong units kind of moving around too, like the GT duo, Super Saiyan 3 duo, right? The Dragon Ball Z duo, right? And Vegito himself is, again, I would say, like, this Vegito and where is he? The Super Saiyan 4 Full Power Goku, they're like on par in terms of overall their abilities. But one reason, like, I'm putting Vegito above Zamasu currently, is I do like this a lot. Giving superclass allies that 50% defense for the turn, that's pretty massive considering of how it works, right? Because of the fact that it's a multiplicative buff. Like, so it adds to other super attack like raises, like, and if you raise super attacks, but the fact that he gets this 50% defense to all allies, especially against AoEs, and how good this guy is in slot 1, it's just very absurd. You know, in slot 1, this guy has high chance to dodge with 50% reduction. Let's say he's at like 500 to 600, even 700k defenses at some situations. Again, it's very hard to kill him. And then he follows up to the enemy doing like 5 super attacks. Just dumb. And then he's supporting the rotation by 50% defense. That would technically be, you know, multiplicative in that sense. And, you know, how many units he's like affecting with this. I think the only issue is his link set changes to be for the worse. But I mean, I honestly think that people underrate how this guy, you know, could get out, how easy he can get out. Like, you could definitely not get him out, but still. And then if you can get the active skill, he also guarantee dodges and then doesn't attack, but he gets guaranteed dodge. So it's like, okay, that's just a cherry on the top of everything. But yeah, I would say I'm a bigger fan of this unit than most people, though. I know a lot of people who really badly say this unit is better, like this, or like even the Dragon Ball Z Duo. And I don't really see it. I think that the blue duo is just a better version of this unit, right? In slot 1 early on, and then maybe the U portion, like, it's kind of where it's different. But Vegito, I would say I kind of probably like a little better than full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku, because he's also, again, supporting. He has the guaranteed dodge. I think that, you know, maybe he's just doing a little better in slot 1, especially with the high chance to dodge too, which is very powerful. But yeah, next we have just the big 3. That's what I'm calling them at this point. I don't really think that... I think that their influence with affecting the entire rotation is just too good, right? It just their influence, like, what comes close to the level of influence that GT Vegeta has when he's able to have the entire rotation survive, like, and then he counters, but then he's also supporting with 8 ki and 80% attack support. That's like the highest, one of the highest attack supports ever, and then so much ki that he's giving. What compares to Orange Piccolo on command being able to erase the enemy's AoEs and super attacks, and he deals damage to the enemy, and, you know, during those attacks he's invincible. Bulma is like by far away the most influential unit in the game. And she, again, by the way, she's also on this unit's team. She's also on this unit's team too, though. But the fact that she's Rainbow Orb changing, she's giving 2-turn support buff, guarding, damage reduction. You know, she can give everyone super effective on turn 7, and she full heals you, and then she nukes the enemy. Just this Bulma, and then she like triple supers. She has a high chance to create buildings. Like, this Bulma just stupid, really. I think her influence is just higher than so many things we've seen, but yeah, I just think that what Vegito and Zamasu have, they don't influence the rotation or even the boss. Like, they don't take control of the boss away from them like these 3 units, I feel like, especially do. Maybe Bulma doesn't necessarily do that as much, but I think that her overarching power to all your other units, basically at all times everyone's getting 3 ki and 34% attack and defense, and then there's the orb chasing. Like, her influence overall is like way more than like the support Vegito's doing or the support Oob is doing. Zamasu, if like in an alternate world where every single red zone was super class, then at that point Zamasu would have the level of influence even Bulma has. But that's not the case right now, so that's the issue with like Zamasu in general, right? But I don't know. I was considering having GT Duo even under these 2, but I'm just thinking about it. I'm just like, Super Saiyan Vegeta is just too good, and then even their base form right here is still very strong. And, you know, even if you can't get GT Vegeta on like turn 5, 6, 7, this unit is able to still be the same throughout the event, while this unit tapers off. Even Zamasu kind of, with this 40% reduction, there are certain super attacks that you won't be able to live, especially in slot 1. So yeah, while this unit in, I guess maybe if you have Zamasu slot 2, he'd be fine, but I don't know, you guys get the point. This unit's always going to be a slot 2 unit, right? But that is my top 10 LRs tier list right here, updated. What is this? August 2023, technically, because, yeah, we're at the end of August, so let me know what you guys think. If you would change anything, I'm sure many people are not going to like Vegito's placement, but I don't care. That's just my personal opinion. But I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.